Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. In this video, we will talk about a brief history of Ethiopia. So make sure to watch the full video. The area now known as Ethiopia is thought by many scholars to be the region where early Homo sapiens first emerged in the Middle Paleolithic period about 150 to 200,000 years ago. The oldest hominid fossils ever discovered were found in Ethiopia in 1994 and date from 4.2 meters years ago and are known as Arti. The more well-known fossil remains of Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, date from 3.2 meters years ago and were discovered in 1974. Contacts with ancient Egypt. Ethiopia is believed by many scholars to be the land of Punt, described by Egyptian chroniclers as a trading partner from over 5,000 years ago. Myrrh, ivory, animal skins, and gold were imported from Punt. This trade followed routes along the Nile and the Red Sea coast. Pre-Aksumite Yea. The kingdom of Demp, with its capital at Yea, was the first kingdom known to have existed and dates from around the 10th century BCE, equivalent to BC, before the Common/Current era. A Sabaean-style temple was built there around 800 BCE and is the oldest standing structure in sub-Saharan Africa. Scholars associate Sabaean culture with the area that is modern-day Yemen. Aksumite Empire. The Demp Kingdom was succeeded by the Aksumite Empire around the 1st century BCE, with some scholars placing its origin around 400 BCE. Persian writer Mani, 216 to 274 CE, listed Exum with Rome, Persia, and China as the four great powers of his era. Christianity was introduced by Frumentius in 330 CE. Frumentius, who was born in Syria, converted Aksumite king Ezana in 356 CE. Under Ezana and his son Caleb, the Aksumite Empire was at its peak and growing rich and powerful from trade routes linking India and ancient Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean with the Byzantine Empire in the Mediterranean Sea. The Abyssinian-Adal War, 1529-1543. From 1528, 1540 Muslim armies from the Sultanate of Adal in the southeast overran 3/4 of the Abyssinian kingdom. Their leader was known as Muhammad Grand, Muhammad the Left-Handed. From hiding, the Ethiopian emperor appealed to the Portuguese for help. A Portuguese fleet arrived from India in 1541 with 400 musketeers. About 2 years later, Muhammad Grand was killed in battle, and his forces were routed. The Portuguese then put pressure on the Ethiopian king to publicly profess allegiance to the Pope in Rome. The emperor refused. Early Gondar period, 1632-1769. In the years that followed the defeat of Muhammad Grand, the Portuguese steadily increased their influence and power until the conversion to Roman Catholicism of Emperor Susnios, 1572-1632, in 1622. This resulted in a period of violence and open rebellion against the new religion. Susnios eventually abdicated in favor of his son Fasilides, who reinstated the Orthodox faith as the state religion and expelled the Portuguese Jesuit priests. Zemi-Mesafint, Age of the Princes, 1769-1855. This was a period of great instability and division when a succession of 23 emperors held the throne. There was no powerful central authority uniting and controlling the warring princes and provincial kings who continuously fought each other. They competed to extend their own lands at each other's expense and be seen as the guardians of whoever was the current, but nominal, king of kings enthroned at Gondar. Modern period, 1855-1936. The reigns of emperors Tewodros II, reigned 1855-68, Johannes IV, war 1872-1889, and Menelik Giva, war 1889-1913, were during a period when Ethiopia started to open up to the world. Tewodros II, war 1855-1868. Despite resistance from some provincial leaders, Tewodros I started to modernize and centralize imperial administration. after writing to Queen Victoria and other European imperial leaders, but not receiving a reply, Tewodros felt insulted and took some Europeans hostage. This ended very badly in 1868 when the British sent a huge military expedition of 13,000 soldiers, 26,000 men for logistical support, and 40,000 animals, including war elephants from India. Johannes IV, War 1872-1889. The reign of Emperor Johannes IV, B. 1837-1889, was dominated by war with Egypt and the Mahdists of Sudan. It was also a time of increasing engagement with European powers, especially Italy, who, through a series of land purchases and treaties, established a colony on the Red Sea coast in what is now Eritrea. Johannes was killed by a stray bullet in a battle in which his forces were victorious against the Mahdists in 1889. This prompted King Saul Miriam of Shua to declare himself Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia. Menelik II, War 1889-1913. Menelik's reign, B. 1844-1913, saw the empire expand to the south, west, and east by conquest and negotiation. In 1889, he signed the Treaty of Wachale with the Italians, but the Italians secretly changed the Italian language version. On discovering this trickery, Menelik demanded the Italians change the key clauses. The Italians refused and invaded Ethiopia from their coastal colony in Eritrea. The Italian army was destroyed at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Victory at Adwa Day is a national holiday celebrated on 2 March, European calendar. It was the first time an African army had defeated a European colonial invasion in open battle. Haile Selassie I, or 1930-1974. His full royal title was His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, conquering Lion of the Tribe of Judah, King of Kings of Ethiopia, and elect of God. Having been regent from 1916, Haile Selassie, B. 1892-1975, was crowned as emperor in 1930. He went into exile after the initially successful fascist Italian invasion of 1935. In his appeal for help to the League of Nations, he famously asked, "What answer shall I take back to my people?" and mourned prophetically, "It is us today, it will be you tomorrow." He became an icon of pre-war anti-fascism and was named 1935 Man of the Year by Time magazine. There were only 6 nations in the lead that refused to recognize Italy's occupation of Ethiopia in 1937: New Zealand, USA, Mexico, China, Soviet Union, and Spain. Ethiopia's communist era, 1974-91. The military coup on 22 September 1974 saw the aging emperor publicly humiliated by being escorted from the imperial palace in a VW Beetle car. He was not initially harmed. A military council, known as the Derg, took power and summarily executed 59 members of the former imperial government. Haile Selassie died in 1975. Many believe he was strangled in the basement of his palace by or at the orders of Ulti-Kul Mengistu Haile Mariam, who then systematically murdered his rivals on the military council and established himself as undisputed head of state by 1977. Ethiopia, a federal democratic republic from 1991. In 1991, an alliance of northern rebel groups militarily defeated the Derg's forces, which had been weakened by the collapse of the Soviet Union. In a referendum that followed this victory, Eritrea voted for full independence from Ethiopia and became an independent state in 1993 after about 30 years of guerrilla war. From 2004 to 2014, economic growth has averaged 10.8%. Addis Ababa recently opened the first urban, electric-powered, light rail system anywhere in Africa. The 800 kilometers Addis Ababa to the port of Djibouti railway line has been electrified and rebuilt for fast trains. Djibouti is a small independent state, and all of landlocked Ethiopia's maritime exports and imports pass through this port. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, under construction since 2011, on the Blue Nile will be the largest hydroelectric dam in Africa and 7th largest in the world. Egypt feared control of the headwaters of the Blue Nile, which carries 80% of the water in the Nile River that flows onto Egypt. This resulted in the Ethiopian government having difficulty gaining finance for the USD 5 billion project. Despite this, Ethiopia pressed ahead and largely financed the project itself. Egypt has since signed an agreement with the Ethiopia. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.